Today's conversation is one that so many women in leadership need to hear. If you have ever looked around and thought, why does everyone else seem to have it together except for me? This is your episode. I'm joined by the incredible Simone Knego. She's an international speaker and award-winning author, empowerment coach. She is a best-selling author of Real Confidence, which is a simple guide to go from unsure to unshakable. Simone helps women break through things like self-doubt, build up their confidence from the inside out, and lead with more truth, courage, and freedom. In today's conversation, we're talking about the pressure to appear perfect, the toxic relationship so many women have with themselves, why confidence is a skill, and how to start seeing yourself differently so that you can lead more powerfully in every single area of your life. This episode is honest, it's encouraging, and it's full of those, wow, I needed that moments. So let's dive in. Welcome to the Lead with Spark podcast, the show where real women lead with authenticity, show up with presence, and live out their purpose. I'm Lynsey Mulder, speaker, C-suite executive, family gal, travel junkie, and a firm believer that your leadership starts from within. Around here, we go beyond the fluff. We talk about the real stuff no one teaches you in leadership training. Your values, your superpower strengths, boundaries to stop burnout, and how to quit being the chaos coordinator of your own life. Whether you're building a business, leading a team, or just trying to stop feeling stuck in the daily grind, this is your space to get clear, get aligned, and finally lead with confidence. So let's cut the noise and reconnect with the spark that makes you, you. Let's go get our spark on. Welcome to the podcast. I am super excited. Simone, I'm so glad to have you. Everybody, I have Simone Knego on the call with us. She has just launched a new book that is amazing. I have read segments. I haven't read the whole thing, and you're going to want it after this conversation because it's fantastic. Thanks for coming, Simone. I'm so glad you're here.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me here today.
Yes. We have so much to talk about, and I wish, honestly, that we could have recorded our pre-conversation because when we talked a couple weeks ago, there were so many things that would have blown people's minds. It would have been fun. Sometime we'll do that. We'll just have a conversation and just let people listen in.
Yeah, I think that's great.
That'd be fun. A lot of the work we do is so similar, but people probably haven't met you yet. So why don't you just fill us in a little bit, share kind of your journey, your work, what you've got going on, give people that sneak peek.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am obviously Simone Knego. I'm a keynote speaker, author, podcast host. I am a mom of 6. I've been married to my husband for almost 33 years. That's probably my biggest achievement of the world.
Right.
Yes. And we still actually like each other. So that's another good thing. But I focus on helping women build confidence from the inside out. Actually, I'm changing a little bit because what I found with this book is that men are really diving into it and they're raising their hands saying, that's me. So,
that's
crazy. Right. So fascinating. I've had Marines, 2 Marines after reading that in my book say, that was my exact story. And
what piece?
Thank you so much. The whole thing. They were saying, other than in the beginning, I talk about an abuse story. So I have no idea if that was part of it. But the way they doubted themselves, the way they always felt like they weren't good enough, the way they wouldn't be able to share what they were going through because they were afraid of being judged, all of those pieces. So I think a lot of times we think that, it's just us, but it's not. And I don't think we can ever look at anybody and say, oh, their life is perfect, right? Everybody struggles with something, but we tend to do that. We tend to look at other people and say, oh, their life is so great, and then we compare ourselves, which the only person that affects negatively is us.
Exactly. We're comparing ourselves to that false image, the image that people present, but not those inside emotional conversations we have and the places we feel like we might be falling short. I know that self-doubt is huge. You talk about that a lot. So why does that disconnect happen so often with people?
Because we live in a society that basically tells you have to be perfect, right? You have to do all of these things in order to be accepted, which is so BS because that's not how real life works. I mean, that's how I did it for a long time, right? I performed confidence. I didn't live it. I basically pretended to be something that I wasn't because I thought that's what's going to get people to really want to hang out with me. That's what's going to get people to really understand me. Completely the opposite, because literally it's a facade. I have
Yeah,
this facade up. I never get to show who I really am. And it's exhausting, right?
it
It's like,
is.
and so we need to change that.
And that helps people to find that connection. First of all, I feel like I know this was me. I don't know if this was you. In the corporate world, I kept thinking I'm the only person. Everybody else has it together. What is wrong with me? Oh my goodness. And I remember the first time that I opened up to another female executive at the organization, and I was about in tears because I'd been carrying that weight on my shoulders for so long. And I opened up and she went, oh my goodness, that's me. That's exactly how I feel right now.
And I think that's true across the board. So and I keep on thinking, I have to look up this guy's name, but he quit his corporate job. And what he decided to do was that he wanted to do like 10,000 coffee shop conversations, really learning about other people's lives and sitting down with them and figuring out, okay, like, what do they have going on? What's the struggle? And the one thing he came away with from every single conversation is nobody has a clue what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like, everybody is struggling and nobody has it. And we think that everybody else does. And it's so ridiculous because they just don't. And we put that pressure on ourselves that we have to be perfect and we have to have everything together. But in all reality, we all struggle. And so
Yeah.
it's a good reminder to say, like, why are we putting so much pressure on ourselves?
I think, isn't that Ronnie Gerwitz or something? I can't think how to say his last name.
I think that's who it is. And I
think
mean,
that's what it is. Yeah.
yeah. And, but what a great lesson, because that's what we do. We think that everybody else has it going on and we don't. I mean, and that was me for a very long time. Actually, I had a big breakthrough I was at this women's convention and I'm sitting around a table with my closest friends. Like, I've known them for years. And all of a sudden this video came on, Colby Calais' Try, right? It's all
Oh,
about
yeah.
peeling back the layers, taking off the makeup, really showing who you are. And I started crying. And I hadn't cried in years. I don't think my friends ever saw me cry. And they were like, what do we do with her?
Yeah.
What is happening?
What is
What is happening? And that was my moment for me to say that, wait, I struggle. Like, these are all the things that I struggle with. And I think they thought that I had the perfect life because I pretended that everything was great all the time. Because I thought that if I didn't, like, the walls would crack and everything would fall down. And
Yes.
guess what? It didn't, right?
Yeah.
And that was a great opportunity, because not only could I share what I was struggling with, every single person at the table was like, oh, you think I have it together? Let me tell you what's going on in my life. Because we look at everybody else and say, oh, it's perfect. No, it's
Yeah.
not.
Oh man, you're telling my story. That is almost exactly identical to my story. And I always felt like I have to keep it together. I actually love one of the quotes that you shared with me. You said, you don't need to change who you are, but you need to change the way that you see yourself. And that's part of like this need to keep these walls up so high and these false perceptions that as women leaders, that we have to have it all together to be in these positions. Our team needs to see us as the A star, the people that they're always going after. When you say that, how do you think about that? What's that truly mean for the women that are listening right now?
So I think that we focus on all the changes we need to make in our life. Like, oh, we need to look younger, right? We need to wear
I would
this
like
to this
to.
event, right? Well, again, I'd like to go to the gym and become buff in one day, but that's not going to happen. So, but we focus on all the things like, oh, we need more money in the bank. We need the promotion. And then we get the promotion. We're like, oh gosh, why did I want this? Like, now I have to do all these things that I never wanted to do before. And so the idea is looking at ourselves right now and loving who we are right now, accepting all the bad, the good, the ugly, the flaws, like all of those things, because that's who we are. And why are we constantly trying to change who we are? So instead of changing who we are, we need to change the way we see ourselves, because we're doing amazing things already. We just don't give ourselves credit for it.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I know the women listening to this, they're already high achievers. They've got amazing superpowers. They're doing things that most people couldn't even imagine. So we stack that data up in our mind instead of these false perceptions that we're thinking about ourselves. And when you do that, like, it changes everything.
And it's even worse for high achievers, because we feel like we always have to do the next thing. We're never comfortable in the space that we're in. And I think that we really need to get comfortable being uncomfortable in the space that we're in and stop focusing on, oh, what's the next thing I can do? Because I need to pretend. I need to pretend everything's okay. What I've really realized is every time I tell somebody something that I'm struggling with, it literally opens a door. It's like, they're like, oh my gosh, let me tell you about my situation. Or, oh my gosh, you'd be the perfect speaker for this. Thank you for sharing that, because nobody tells the truth anymore. And so like, that's been really eye-opening for me to say, okay, this is what it's all about, is being, and I don't love the word authentic, but being real. Like,
that's what I was just thinking.
Yeah.
Like, that's
showing your true
authenticity.
self. Yeah. Showing your true self, because honestly, when I look at social media and I look at all the photos of people and everything looks perfect, it's not real, right? I mean, show me the messy moments, because that's real leadership. The leadership behind the scenes, that's real leadership. All the messy moments, not the things where we got the award. Great, you got the award, but what did it take you to get there? And those are the messy moments that really matter.
Yeah, they're the moments that make you who you are. They're
Yeah.
actually the moments that I'm probably proudest of in my whole journey. When you're in the middle of the messy and you can lift someone else up, you can solve it, you can fix the problem, you can see the strategy through the forest, all of those things.
Yeah. So I had an article written about me in a local paper like last week, and it was in a leadership column. And the headline was something like, I don't remember exactly, but basically, Simone Knego, keynote speaker, survives teenage trauma and now helps other women, blah, blah, blah. Okay. And I thought, that is pretty risky. Like, that's the leadership column of the business paper, talks about a woman who struggled with teenage trauma, right? And I thought that was a pretty bold move, but I think that's an important move, because, and as soon as like that came out, then I got multiple messages from other organizations locally that help women. But I thought that was fascinating, because that is not a typical leadership column title. But
so true.
Why isn't it, right? I mean, the things that we go through should matter, and they because they impact what we do every single day.
Absolutely. I think about this too, because a lot of people come to me for confidence. I want my confidence back and I don't know how to get it, or I want to be confident in my position. I feel like I'm dropping the balls and I don't want to tell anyone because then they're going to fire me, all of those things. And you and I talked about the fact that confidence is a skill. It's not a personality trait at all. Break that down for us, how you think about it, because I loved how you shared that with me.
Yeah, it's something that we build just like any other skill, right? We look at something like getting fit or learning a language, okay? If you're going to learn Spanish, you don't take one lesson and all of a sudden you're fluent, right? You have to work at it day after day. Same thing with going to the gym, right? And you have to work at it day after day. But the other thing is, as soon as you stop working at it, guess what? You slide back down, right? You're not as strong as you were if you're not going to the gym.
Pant size.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I got those stretchy pants. They're great. But it's the same thing with your mindset. Like, it's so interesting that we think that, oh, you're either confident or you're not, right? It's a skill. So it's something that you work on every single day. It's not like you wake up one morning and say, oh, I'm so confident now. It is, okay, this is what I'm working on. This is how I'm going to get through today. And this is how I'm building my confidence, by taking action instead of just assuming that's never going to happen for you.
Yeah. I think too that confidence, a lot of times we believe we have to have 100% of the skills. I was always confident as a leader. My team could do just about anything because I made sure to build a unique, diversified group of people that have amazing different talents and skill sets. And as a team, we could accomplish anything. So I was always confident in what we could do as a group. And even when I was a solopreneur or just in a new leadership role, I can be confident that I can find resources to tackle it. I don't have to know everything.
Yeah. But a lot of times that's what we think we have to do, that we have to do it all. That's why you have a team. Like, you have to be able to step back. I mean, we were talking about this right before we started about the idea of podcasting and having a truly authentic podcast where you don't take out the likes and the ums. I mean, how many have I said already, right? That's part of, right. I say right. And But the idea that someone will sit there and try to fix every single thing so it sounds perfect, there's no such thing as perfection. So why waste your time on something like that when the authenticity piece is the most important piece?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. They're not going to get that on this podcast. You and I are just going to be real.
Yes, we're going to be real. And I'm going to say like a lot. I might say a few times. And I'm definitely going to say, and right.
Exactly. I like that.
And exactly.
Yeah. One of the other things I really want people to think about are this toxic relationships. We know we can have it with other people. And I've talked about that on the podcast before. Divorce the people that are draining you, the energy vampires. You can read that in books, everything else. A concept that you brought to me that I hadn't really thought about at all was the fact that I can have a toxic relationship with myself.
And so many of us do. So that was me for years. The way I would talk to myself, the way I would talk about myself, I didn't even realize that it was happening. And I think for most people, you don't realize it's happening. You're on autopilot. So you wake up in the morning, you look in the mirror and you say, oh my gosh, look at my wrinkles, my grays are popping, whatever it is. Like you're saying negative things to yourself from the second you wake up until the minute you go to bed. And we've done it for so long that we don't even realize that we're doing it until someone calls you out. And that happened to me so I have a podcast with my 23-year-old daughter called Her Unshakable Confidence.
It's amazing.
And helping her get there quicker than I did. So, which it is amazing because it's amazing to have those conversations. But when she was 15 years old, I was getting ready for an event, standing in front of the mirror, totally talking down to myself. And, I can't believe you don't fit in your clothes again. Why are you even going? Nobody's going to want to hang out with you. Whatever I was saying.
I better pluck this gray hair.
Yes. Oh my God. And I only have 3 hairs left. So I'm definitely not plucking it because I'm losing all my hair to begin with. So she says to me, first of all, you're beautiful. Second of all, you need to stop. You're giving me a complex. How can you expect me to love my body when you don't even like your own?
Ooh, ouch.
Ouch is right. And that was such a wake-up call because, first of all, I didn't even realize I was doing it. I just knew I felt bad about myself. And then second of all, I didn't realize how it was affecting the people around me, right? I couldn't accept a compliment. I'm curious how many of the listeners have this situation where someone gives you a compliment and you basically push it to the side with an excuse like, oh, Simone, you look great in that shirt. Oh, red's not really the color for me. Or Simone, your hair looks great today. Oh, I think it looks frizzy. Thank you. Say 2 words. Thank you. Like it really changes because nobody has to give you a compliment. You don't need that external validation. But when they do, basically, if you're saying, oh no, you're basically saying to them, like, don't say anything to me. And
so we're trained that if we accept the compliment, we're bragging or we're boastful, or then we immediately start comparing ourselves. Well, I'm not as pretty as that girl sitting over there getting coffee. We do all that stuff internally, which just is another way of that toxic relationship with ourselves.
Why do we worry about what anybody else is doing? Why do we, when we get a compliment, it's thank you. I really appreciate that. And I'm not looking at anybody else anymore. So this was a big change for me. So in 2015, I did something really, and I don't know if you're going to ask me about this, but I'm going to throw it out there.
Okay,
let's go. 2015, I did something completely out of my comfort zone. I was really struggling at the time. I didn't believe in myself. It didn't matter that I had 6 children. Like my self-doubt was full force. And a friend of mine a friend of my husband's asked him to do this and he said no. And so I said yes. But
good relationship. That's
yes, exactly. Someone's got to show up. But what I was asked to do was climb Mount Kilimanjaro. And I'm not a climber. I live in Florida at sea level.
The biggest mountains. So let's go.
Let's go. I live in Florida at sea level. I have 16 steps in my house and I've gone camping twice. But I said yes. And part of it was because I was always the yes girl. I was the people pleaser. Oh, if I don't say yes, what are they gonna, they're not gonna invite me anymore.
They won't be my friend.
Right. But the second part of the yes was I really understood that I needed to get out of my comfort zone and get out of my own way at that point in time because I was struggling so much. I'm like, maybe this will help, right? Climb a mountain. Like maybe someone should have invited me to just run a 5K. That would have been easier. But I said yes. And that moment was life-changing for me because what I realized was that I didn't need to worry about what anybody else was thinking, and I didn't need to compare myself to other people. I had really crazy responses when I told people that I was doing it. For example, do you really think you're going to make it to the top? No, I think I'm going to make it halfway. That's why I'm doing it. Thank you so much for your support.
Right.
And also, don't you think it's really selfish to leave 6 kids at home while you go climb a mountain?
Ooh,
It's like,
no.
well, self-care is never selfish. And then the follow-up to that was like, well, you have a really amazing husband. I said, yes, I do. And they're like, yeah, your husband is going to take care of your kids while you're gone climbing a mountain. I'm like, when did they become my kids? Like, they're our kids. And so there was never, he thought that was hilarious. He was like, oh, good, I'm getting more credit. I'm amazing, and I'm taking care of your kids while you're
And
gone.
I'm just doing my job.
Yes. Yeah. And, so those kinds of things. But not only did it help me realize what I was capable of, but it also gave me that peace to say, why am I worrying about what anybody else thinks?
Yeah.
Comparing myself to other people only negatively affects me. They don't even know I'm doing it. Like, that was another big realization for me. And instead of saying like, oh, I'm jealous of what that person has done. No, congratulations. That's amazing that you put in that work to accomplish that, instead of saying, oh, why isn't that me? Poor me. So it really changed my mindset.
As women, we need to be lifting each other up, not tearing each other down. In a past position, I won't say where I was working or who I was working with, but the female leaders were the fastest ones to tear me down. And it's unfortunate. You come from a place of abundance. You build people up every day. You're lifting people up. As a culture, just think about what it would be like if we constantly did that.
I mean, imagine that, right? But for some reason, for women in any kind of corporate role, it's a competition.
Yeah.
And I truly feel like when I'm chosen for a job, it's because I'm the right person at the right time. And if I'm not, it's because I'm not the right person at the right time. It's not personal, but we make it so personal, and we don't look into ourselves. We look at the other person and say, oh, wait, they're so much better than us. And that's just not how it works. But it takes a long time to build that mindset to say, like, this stuff can't bother you all the time, or you're going to be miserable the rest of your life.
So true. I actually, before we got on, I was looking at a stat. Now I can't remember what it was, but hundreds of times during the day, we tell ourselves a negative thought. And I can't remember what the number was, but it was in the hundreds, like multiple hundreds of times. So is somebody listening and they're going, yep, that's me. I get up in the morning and immediately start talking negatively to myself. I do it in the car the whole way to work. I do it on the way home. How do you normalize it? How do you start shifting that pattern so that you stop?
So when I look at statistics, because there are tons of statistics about like what the number of thoughts we have every day, I like to refer to a study out of Queen's University in Canada, which shows that we have 6,200 thoughts every day. 80% of them are negative, 95% are repetitive. Day after day, the same negative thoughts on repeat. And we don't even realize that we're doing it. And I think that's the biggest issue. So I created a really, really creative mindset hack. And
give it to us.
Yes. So again, creative title. It's called Control Alt Delete.
Okay.
Yes. So back in the day, that's how we would reset a frozen computer. Now it brings up Task Manager. Unfortunately, it's not managing my tasks. I wish it were, but it's not. So, but sometimes our minds freeze too, right? We get caught in that comparison game. We spiral in self-doubt. So control is about awareness. What's the thought that's running your day? Is it real? Is it helpful? Most of the time, the answer is no. So we have all these thoughts coming through and we're not even acknowledging them. So it's starting to understand, okay, what's the story? Yeah, what's the story that we're telling ourselves? Alt is about alternative. Tell yourself a better story. Instead of saying that you can't do something, yes, I can, watch me. Instead of asking yourself, what if I fail? How about when I succeed?
Yes.
I mean, it's a switch. And, it's so interesting to me because we're like, oh, no, that doesn't really work. Okay, think about, we just finished the Olympics, a few weeks ago. Do you really think the athletes go to the top of the mountain and say, well, this is going to be the crappiest run I've ever had in my life. I'm really going to suck today. And then they're successful.
Here we go.
No. Yeah, they don't do that, right? They talk themselves up. And that's what we need to be doing. right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
finally, delete the habits and beliefs that don't serve you. Delete the comparison game, delete the belief that you're not enough, delete the idea that you need to wait until you feel ready. This is a huge one because waiting until you feel ready is like waiting for IKEA instructions to actually make sense. It is not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So you have to take action. You can't wait for someone, that external validation, for someone to tell you, oh, now you're ready. You have to do it anyways, right? Because that's where growth happens.
It's really, and I love this model. This is so easy to follow. The awareness is probably the hardest part, but I'm going to share, I did this not long ago, but in a tangible way. So I had knee problems. I think I shared that with you early on. I've had knee problems for several years that has hindered my exercise. And so unfortunately, you see the weight go up and the pant size grow. And I am just like most women, kept a skinny closet. Whether it's a tub in your basement, it's that section of your closet, it's the spare room that you tuck stuff in. And constantly then when I go to get dressed, I'm thinking about, well, I can't wait till I get back in my skinny clothes. I can't.
Yeah.
And it's because that physical object is down there. It's out of sight, but it's there. I think for me, the first awareness was, wait a minute, I am pretty darn happy. I'm now getting back to the right size, but I'm pretty happy with my life. Why do I have that negative thought all the time? So I actually went to the closet and started looking at these clothes. And I'm like, even if I were this size, I don't want to wear clothes.
Right.
9 bags of clothes to Goodwill. It was control. I made the decision that I don't want to be thinking that way anymore. What are my alternatives? I can do something about it and get that junk out of my house.
Yeah.
It's perfect. I love that model. So
That's
easy.
such a great example because we've all done that, right? We've all been like, oh, I gained weight and oh no, it's gonna, and I literally had Guess jeans from when I was like 16 years old in my closet for years, and they don't stretch. Like I would never fit in them ever again. I mean, it was cute in theory, but my daughter one of my daughters said to me, I'm going to clean out your closet. And she took all of it out. And it was the best thing that happened because what am I trying to prove, right?
Exactly.
I'm not the same person I was back then. I'm very happy now. And I'm not going to starve myself to fit in a pair of size 6 Guess jeans that won't stretch if I eat like one egg. Right?
Yeah, and I want to pause because for the listeners that are younger than us, they're at the vintage store down the road. You can go see what
That's so funny.
Coolest thing on the market for us.
Yes.
Hey, I want to touch on the real method too, because I mean that it's profound. So can you talk us through just what each part stands for and how those pillars came from your own experience, your own life?
So obviously real is, stands for, it's my method. So respect yourself, embrace your failures, ask yourself what you want, and live without limits. Mm-hmm. And I started with respect yourself because I think that's foundational for everything we do, right? I remember as a kid that I was taught to respect my elders, my parents, my grandparents, all the things. Elders are my grandparents, but you know what I mean? Like
yes.
Teachers, all the things. But never once do I remember that the most important person to learn to respect is myself. And I had great parents, but that wasn't part of the conversation. So a lot of things that, we feel guilty about is because, oh no, we have to show them respect first. We have to do stuff for them first. And that's great in certain aspects. But if we don't respect ourselves, like we don't set boundaries, right? We don't do self-care. There's so many pieces to it that we won't do if we don't have that self-respect. And a lot of times we'll go into a meeting and we'll say, I'm going to walk in there and I'm going to demand respect. Well,
it doesn't work that way.
Right. How about demonstrate it to yourself so people understand how you need to be treated, right?
Yeah.
And they're not going to come dump all the stuff on your desk. You're not going to accept that. But going in there and demanding it isn't going to do anything for you. So that is the beginning of it.
Yeah. And people don't realize the sneaky parts. As a manager of people, if you're sending emails at 2:00 in the morning, your team realizes you're not respecting their time, then they feel obligated to do that. And you create this quiet conflict. So respect is also just in your own boundaries, the things that are important to you and what you want to model. I don't want my kids getting up at 2:00 in the morning and sending emails. I want to be a good model for them. So learning to respect yourself it creates a ripple effect with everybody that's around you.
Yeah, I love to say that modeling matters more than managing. So
Yes.
if you're going to start sending emails at 2 o'clock in the morning, then the people that work with you are going to be like, oh, guess
Yeah.
that's what I need to be doing too. And so there's a work day for a reason. And trust me, I understand like things get busy and I still work on the weekends, but the idea is that I'll schedule stuff to go out Monday morning. So I can do all the work, but I'll still schedule it to go out Monday morning. So nobody's then looking in their inbox thinking, oh my gosh, I need to respond to her right now, but I'm at the kids' soccer game and oh, she's going to be angry. And no, I won't.
Yeah. Oh,
So no. So, but it does make people uncomfortable when, you go beyond what, because they think that they have to respond right away.
yeah. We've got people that are probably listening in the car, they're walking their dogs, all the different things. How do they implement the real method? Like just one simple way that they can start to do that.
Yeah, I think the first thing is the way you talk to yourself. I think to me, that is the biggest thing I've found with especially women, that the way we talk to ourselves on a regular basis, if you wouldn't say it to your best friend, don't say it to yourself. So think about that. Tomorrow morning when you wake up, would you say that to your best friend? No. Talk to yourself like you would your best friend, because you're going to live with yourself for the rest of your life. So do you really want to treat yourself like crap every single day? Or do you want to have a good relationship with yourself, right? I mean, that toxic relationship is not going to move you forward. You're going to feel horrible every day. And I think about that. Like when I wake up in the morning, do I want to say, well, this is going to be the worst day or this is going to be a great day? I want to have a great day. So, and I'm setting myself up for that. And people are like, oh, that's toxic positivity. No, it's not. It's reality.
Yeah.
Reality, right? I mean, again, talk to yourself like you would your best friend. Starting tomorrow morning, the first thing you do when you look in the mirror, it's uncomfortable. I know it is, because when I first started doing it, I was like, oh gosh, this is so weird. I got to look in my eyes and I got to say nice things to myself. But it really does work, because then you get comfortable in so many different situations. If you can say nice things to yourself and accept them, then it's so much easier when someone else gives you a compliment, or when you're in a situation that's really uncomfortable, to remind yourself what you're capable of.
Yeah. I think that goes right along with affirmation statements and saying those. I know all the most successful people in the world, whether it's business or athletics or anything else, they've got a core set of affirmation statements that they say to themselves. I have some, everything from, you have more than enough time today to do the things that are important to you. Like that's an easy one, all the way to the hard ones that you need to believe in yourself. And I'm not saying do something that's completely unrealistic that you're not going to believe. They still have to be believable, but it helps to make that shift, that 1 degree shift in your mind. And I really think that positivity, it's not fake. It's choosing. We have a choice when we wake up in the morning. Am I building my day for an amazing outcome? Or am I building my day to be Miss Grumpy Pants? And which person am I going to have more fun being? I'm going to make that choice.
Yeah, I think understanding that everything we do is a choice, right? But that first thing in the morning piece, I think is so important. I look at, and you can tell when you're watching people go through your day, they did not make that choice in the morning, right? And those are not the people that you want to hang out with, because it brings you down, right? It's another kind of toxic relationship. So making that, understanding that you have a choice every morning, even when there's external things happening where you're like, oh my gosh, like so-and-so is sick, but you have a choice in how you respond to things. So for me, it's taking it to a different level. And it used to be the opposite for me. It'd be like, oh, this is just going to suck. Like there's nothing good about what's going to happen today. And I never look at a day like that anymore, because it's like, okay, what am I thankful for right now? And I'm thankful for right now that, oh my gosh, I get to wake up and I get to go have a cup of coffee. That's amazing.
Yes.
Simple as that.
Talk to you on this podcast. That's
yes, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Like those things are so important, but we take those things for granted.
So true. What part of the model is the hardest for women? Like the piece that they resist the most, and why do they resist it?
Ask yourself what you want. I think that's the hardest one, because we're so used to being the caretakers, whether you're a mom or a daughter or whatever, obviously you're a daughter, but there's always somebody that needs your attention that you think needs it more than you. So we go through life going from point A to point B and never asking, like, what do we want to be doing right now? And I'm not saying go quit your job tomorrow, but what I am saying is that there are other things that you can do to fill your cup. So, and the way you show up at work can be completely different than what you have, how you've shown up in the past. But think back to the kid that wanted to be the rock star, the astronaut, the actress, whatever it was. That kid still exists. And there is stuff that you can do to really fill your cup. So whether it's taking a painting class or an acting class or whatever, something really fun for you and going out of your comfort zone to say, oh, wow, this is really where I want to be. And it doesn't mean you have to leave your day job behind, but you can do stuff that you're like, oh, this is what I really enjoy.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with two things you said. First, earlier, we talked about the repetitiveness, and then you talked about the nurturing. We spend so much time nurturing everyone else and allowing it to become this routine that we just follow that we forget that we're people too. And we need to pause and spend the time to figure out, who do we want to become? How do we invest in ourselves? It's so hard. You had 6 kids. I've got 4 boys. We spend so much time raising them up, but yet they are their people and we are us. And we're just as important to spend that time figuring out, who do we want to be? How are we going to do it? What new things can we try? You know, climb a mountain or take pottery class or whatever that looks like, and figure out what are those new adventures in our life that we want to do that are exciting. I think that's why I like to travel as much as I do.
Yeah. And we love to travel. I love to travel. My husband loves to travel, so which is great. But what was really interesting of what you said when you talk about the, kids and everything, is that one of the biggest realizations, we were on a podcast and someone was asking my daughter, what's the biggest thing you realized about your mom? And she said that she's human. So I think like we want the kids to think, oh, like we're on this pedestal. We're not, right?
We're not.
We make, and I think it's important for our kids to see us fall down and get back up again. I think it's really important for them to see us try things that are really challenging and fail at it and try again, or be really successful at it and then do something else, right? But we tend not to do that because...
And in the mental health crisis that we're in right now, our kids need that more than ever. If they are putting the perfectionism on themselves and all of these high standards, which we're all hardest on ourselves, right?
Yes.
So that's going to happen regardless. But if they know mom has been doing fantastic things and she fell and she got out of it and she fell again and she looked at all of her options and she lifted herself up. If we can teach them that falling is not the end of the world, you've got a support structure around you, you have alternatives. There are so many different things that they can do in life. I think that's actually one of the best things that we can teach our kids when it comes to mental health.
Yeah, I mean, we have to take risks. So it was really interesting. So I had my book launch just over a month ago. And so it was very exciting. I had a big party I'll say book launch event in Florida. And there are over 200 people there. And I only 2 of my kids were able to be there, but they were like, wait, she's like the real deal now.
Wow.
And it was so funny. And then when I made the USA Today bestselling book list, they were like, wow, like she went after it. Like she's putting in the work. She's killing it. And that to me was such a big thing. Again, I don't believe in external validation, but when it comes from your family and they can see that if you put in the work, really good things happen. Sometimes bad things happen. I've failed at a lot of things too. But for them to say like, oh yeah, I'm going to try this, why am I waiting for someone to ask me? I'm going to try it. And so that to me has been huge because as someone who has raised 6 kids, it was about them for so long until I realized like, that's not helping them to micromanage every little thing. What helps them is when I do something for myself and they see, wow, she did that. I can do something like that too.
Yeah, the thing that I love about your journey too, and you and I are very similar in this, that we have not let age hinder us. And I have so many women come to me with Spark Life and they're like, I can't go after my passion. It's too late. And I'm thinking, no, it's not. I have found a new spark every 3 or 4 years and I'm going to go for it. And you did the same thing. Write a book, start a podcast, share your journey, change careers, all of those things that shift. And just as you were sharing that, I think that's important for our kids to know too. Especially right now, my kids are doing fantastic, but I was just coaching another kid that's kind of in his 20s. And I said, just pick what you want to do next year. You don't have to pick something for 10 years. Pick just next year. What do you want that journey to look like? Because in a year, you might learn new skill sets. You might have a new spark. And we have this misconception that, oh my goodness, now I'm 45, now I'm 50. I can't do anything different. Yeah, you can. Go for it.
Reinvent yourself at every stage and do things that you really want to do for you. I look back at, so my mom was a physician. She was amazing, right? Or she still is because she's 86 and she's amazing.
Yeah.
But once she retired, she's like, well, there's nothing left for me to do now. I'm like, what are you talking about? But that used to be the mindset. Basically, you went through menopause and you couldn't do anything anymore, right? You were not, effective for society anymore. What? So for me, it's like, what? I'm 53 years old. I have to remember. I'm turning 54 this week. My birthday's in 3 days.
Well, happy birthday.
Thank you. So, but that idea of that, do I want to be done? No. Like, I'm starting a whole new adventure that I'm so excited about that I wouldn't want to be done. And I think this is my final adventure that I want to keep on for a really long time. But there'll be different things along the way that I will change my mind on. And I'm a big believer in that. It's okay to change your mind. Figure out what works for you and keep moving forward. But don't let anybody else tell you that you shouldn't be doing something because you're now 40 years old, 50 years old, 60 years old, 70 years old. What does that matter? That has nothing to do with anything. Like, when you want to do something, you should do it. Hard stop.
I've heard that's the number one regret when people pass away is that they lived their lives according to someone else's standards instead of doing the things that they want to do. My grandma passed away. She was close to 90. And she was still running around like a teenager, taking her girlfriends all over, cooking stuff for people, doing all kinds of stuff, and just having the time of her life. And that's how I want to go out. I want to like that.
We always say that, I keep on saying we, but my husband and I, when we talk about stuff, it's like we want to slide into home base. We don't want to leave anything on the line. We want to do all the travel that we want to do. We want to have all the experiences, because I don't want to be that person that says, I wish I would have, right?
So true.
And so many people do that. I wish I would have. I'm too old to do this now because I can't climb up a mountain or whatever it is. Like, do all the things and don't wait for someone to tell you that it's okay. It's okay, right?
It's okay.
Tell yourself it's okay.
Yeah. I know we both like to travel. I always ask every person on my show, where is one place that we should travel to? But more importantly, what should we actually do when we get there? And please don't say climb a mountain because my knees are...
No. We went on safari to South Africa for my 50th. Yeah, my 50th and my husband's 60th birthday. So we're 10 years apart. And that was one of the best things that we've done. And it was just the two of us. We didn't bring any kids with us. And we were gone for 2 weeks. And we had such an amazing time going on safari, staying in different wineries in South Africa. It was absolutely beautiful. And it was so great for our relationship because you're right. Like, I don't want to go climb a mountain right now. But I wanted to be at the lodge, and we would come back for lunch and they'd be like, what kind of champagne would you like? I'm like,
nice.
It's 12 o'clock. I'm like, can I have another glass? Why not? Why not? That was always the answer. Why not? And so that was such a fun trip for us. And it was beautiful. And again, really seeing the wildlife and experiencing that. And some of it was gross when, you see a lion eating a giraffe or whatever, but it was really cool because that's real. Like, it's real life. That's how it works. And so that was probably our top trip with the two of us.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That sounds like so much fun. My husband gets to go to South Africa for work, but I haven't gone with him. So I'm going to have to add that to
Oh, you should add on a little, excursion for, even if you go for a few days on safari. It's amazing.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
That would be.
And the, they call them tented camps sometimes. It's like luxurious. Like, it's unbelievable. It's not a tented camp.
It's like glamping.
Glamping to the nth degree, like I've never seen before. And, they have guards walk you everywhere in case there's an animal. And it just was such a great birthday trip, but such a great trip in general.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. I love it. Okay, we cannot, it would behoove us if I didn't say, your book became a USA Today bestseller. It is amazing, and that is a huge accomplishment. I want everybody to go pick it up because there's so many nuggets of gold in there that they have to listen to. And it's going to give them tips on their life, their leadership, like everything about them. Is there one thing that you just want to give them a sneak peek, just to share with them, like the one thing that you'd want them to take away from the book?
Ooh, that's a hard one. Yeah, I think there's a lot of things to take away
There's a
from the
lot.
book.
That's why I couldn't answer.
Yeah. So I really think, I mean, we've already talked about this, but I think this is the most important thing is that there's two pieces to it. You don't need to change who you are. You need to change the way you see yourself. And why? Because when you change the way you see yourself, the world around you changes. You're willing to try more things. You're willing to help other people. Think about when you're not feeling good about yourself, you're not willing to mentor other people. But when you are, you're willing to put it out there to say, how can I help you? Instead of focusing on like, oh, I'm not good enough to do that. So
yeah, you build
one
the
thing, but there's
the relationships, the confidence comes with it, the motivation, like all that stuff that people are looking for.
Yeah. And I think, one of the things that I'm really proud of with the book is that I really went all in on the vulnerability piece where, when I first started writing and I said, I don't know, is this too strong? Like, should I tell all the details of the story? And I was like, you have to tell all the details of the story because it needs to be a real story. And so my mom came over last week. She had ordered a bunch of books and she wanted me to sign them for all her neighbors. And
of course.
And I said, but I said to her, I hadn't told her before that I had written about my abusive relationship in high school. And so I wanted to tell her and not have her just be surprised when she read it.
Yeah.
And like, why was I worried about this? Really, why was I worried about this? And she said to me, I'm so glad you did. I know it was a really terrible period of time for you, and I know it's going to help a lot of women. So again, stop worrying about what anybody else is thinking. Do what's right for you.
Exactly. She has to be so proud because it's an amazing book.
Yeah,
I'm going to put the links in the show notes, and I'm going to put links for how to connect with you because if people need a speaker, if they need anything, like you are the real deal. And so I'm so thankful that you came on today. Thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me today.
Yes. And from both Simone and I, we hope that all of you go out and leave a spark.
Yeah. Find that spark. You got it.
Well, that's it for today. Thanks for being here and for doing the work to lead yourself first. If this episode sparked something for you, take a second to subscribe, leave a review, or share it with another woman who's ready to own her leadership. And remember, the way you lead your life is the way you lead everything else. If you or your organization are looking for a speaker, an impactful workshop, or an executive coach, head over to lynseymoulder.com and let's connect. Keep showing up. Keep leading with spark. You got this. I'll see you next time.